G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Welcome back to another episode where we're going to take a look at and go through just some best practices and some tips and tricks when using Microsoft Teams and OneNote. Now, I love OneNote. I use it all the time, every single day, to keep track of things and to organize my content. And I see a lot of users ending up with multiple different notebooks, lots of different notebooks across the environment. And one of those ways that this happens, I've seen, is that when using Microsoft Teams and adding OneNote as a tab, we're creating new notebooks instead of using pre-existing ones. Also, there's some things we can do and some things I like to do in Teams when we're adding OneNote in channels. So let's dive in and have a look, and I hope this brings you some value. Let's jump in. G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here. We're going to now take a look at some best practices, some tips and tricks with OneNote and Microsoft Teams. Now, I see this a lot where users end up having lots of different notebooks created, and we're starting to get confused about what notebooks are for what, and where they should be using what pages, what sections, what notebook that we should be putting content into. So one of the things that you can do in Microsoft Teams is add OneNote as a tab. Now, there's the option to be able to create a new notebook or use a pre-existing one, and that happens in each channel. Now, one thing that I like to do, and we're going to jump in and have a look at, is first of all, obviously use the pre-existing notebook that comes with the team, but also when we're doing adding the notebook tab in each channel, is just to create a section with the same name as the channel, which makes things a lot easier when you're opening it in OneNote as well. So let's dive in and have a look. Now, we can see here that I'm in the Mark 8 project team. I'm just going to go ahead in the general channel here, and I'll use the plus button, and we're going to use OneNote, the OneNote tab. You can see here we've got a pre-existing notebook here. Okay, now what I see a lot is that people create a new notebook. So that means we're going to have two notebooks. We've already got a default one, but then if we create a new one, we're going to have two notebooks for the same team. Okay, so always use what I like to recommend is that we always use the pre-existing notebook. All right, so I'm just going to choose that notebook, and I'm going to hit save, and that's going to add that notebook as the tab in this channel. Now I'm on the general channel here. All right, so it's going to add the entire notebook here. Now obviously at the moment it's empty because it's brand new. All right, so that's the entire notebook. Now if I'm in the design channel here, I might want to add the notebook as well, but in relevance to the design stream of this project. So if I choose OneNote again, I don't want to add the entire notebook again. I don't want to create a new notebook just for design, but what I want to do is I want to create a new section. So I'm going to create a section for design, and I'm going to use that in this channel. All right, so let's go save. It's going to set up a new tab for us and using that design section. All right, so it's just going to go through this now. It's going to open up this notebook and then add that section as a tab. All right, so you can see here I've now got just the design section. All right, so if I expand this out, I've got design and I'm in this design section. Let's do the same thing here with digital assets web. All right, so I'm going to add a tab, another notebook tab. I'm not going to create a new one. I'm not going to add the entire notebook. I'm going to go specifically to, let's go digital assets web, and I'm going to create a new section. All right, so another section, same name as the channel, but this time it's digital assets web, and it's going to add that section of the notebook as a tab inside of this channel. So we're not creating a new notebook. We're not creating, not embedding the entire notebook. We're just embedding and adding that particular section. Okay, so if we expand this out now, you can see I'm in the digital assets web, not the design. And if I jump back into design and go to the notebook tab here, I will be in the design section of that notebook. Okay, so I hope that brings you some value. I hope that gives you some advice and some best practices, because the other thing that we see as well is when we go, what I want to do now is I'm just going to open up this notebook in, I'll open in SharePoint first. And what we're going to do is I'm going to open up the notebook in the web here. So the other advantage of naming your channels or naming your sections the same as your channels is that you've got that structure in your notebook if you're using OneNote either on the web or you're syncing that down to your OneNote application on your computer and using OneNote. And it just keeps things nice and structured. I know that everything that I put in the design section of this notebook is now going to be structured and the same structure as my team as well. All right, so just a little bit of a best practice there, some advice around using OneNote in with your team, and I hope that brings you some value. I love OneNote, I love Teams, and that's just a way to help you manage and structure your notebooks with your team. Thanks for watching. See you next time.